Jai Gurudev. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. I think we covered more than from the 17th verse till the 22nd today. We've covered about 5-6 verses today. And not only does it give the expanse of time, it also mentions what really was um, caught my um, attention today was the correlation between Gita and the Kathopanishad, the beautiful shloka which talks of how the senses are more powerful than the sense organs, and the mind is more powerful than the senses, and then intellect more powerful than the mind, and beyond that is the avyakta, the self, according to Bhagavad Gita. But here it talks of the intermediary step where the avyakta speaks of the unmanifest, and purusha, which is beyond even the unmanifest. The unmanifest is likened to Maya, and beyond that is the purusha, which is the abode of Bhagavan. And once one attains that, there is no return. So it's a pretty contemplative shloka where it's a very analytical shloka which takes you one from the other in the ascending order. And that how when the time of death determines where you go. But that again, there is a clause over there, provided you are a qualified person. It is not like someone who's done a lot of crime. If he passes on in the Uttarayanam, in the Shukla Paksha, in the daytime, that he will go to Brahmaloka. It is for a yoginaha. So all that is again to be qualified. Yeah, we can all share. So we'll just quickly run through the shlokas that were covered today. Maybe we'll just read the Tatparya. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyat Brahmano Vidu Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Teho Ratra Vido Janaha. So those people who know about the day and night know that a day of Brahmaji has a measure of 1000 yugas, and a night of Brahmaji is a measure of 1000 yugas. Then Avyaktad Vyaktaya Sarvaha Prabhavantya Haragame Ratriagame Praliyante Tatraiva Vyakta Sangyake. So Aharagame, at the beginning of the day of Brahmaji, Avyaktat, from the unmanifest, Sarvaha Vyaktayaha, all that is manifest, Prabhavanti, arise, Ratri Agame, at the beginning of the night of Brahmaji, Avyakta Sangyake, in that which is called unmanifest, Tatra Eva, in that alone, Praliyante, they resolve. So at the beginning of the day, all things that are manifest arise from the unmanifest. At the beginning of the night, they resolve in that which is called unmanifest. For me, I could draw, I was a, what the parallel that came to my mind is that when the sun sets, everything as though seeps into darkness, kind of becomes unmanifest. And then with the dawn of the day, with the first break of dawn, with the sunlight coming up, everything starts getting manifest. So this, if you extrapolate to the number of years that are there in Brahmaji's day, that is what Bhagwan is referring to. भूतग्रामः स एवायं भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागमे अवशः पार्थ प्रभवन्त्यः रागमे. So sa eva ayam, that is indeed this bhutagramah, group of beings, avashah, necessarily, bhutva bhutva, having repeatedly come into being, ratri agame, when the night comes, praliyate, dissolves, partha, o son of Pritha, aharagame, when the day comes, prabhavati, it arises. That is indeed this group of beings which, having repeatedly come into being, necessarily dissolves when the night of Brahmaji comes. O son of Pritha, when the day comes, it necessarily arises. So I suppose as long as we are in the ajnana, we're covered by the veil of ignorance, there is no other choice but to keep getting these birth after birth after birth. But in order to break the cycle, the sword of knowledge is required, that realization. Parastasmatu bhavenyo avyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yassa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. Tu, but yaha, that which is tasmat avyaktat paraha, distinct from, higher than that unmanifest, anyaha avyaktaha, another unmanifest, bhavaha, existent, sanatanaha, eternal, saha, that sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu, when all beings are destroyed, na vinashyati, is not destroyed. But distinct from that unmanifest is another unmanifest, which is existent and eternal, that is not destroyed when all beings are destroyed. So this is that avinashitu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasya mavyayasyasya na kaschit kartumarhati. In the second chapter, I think, when Bhagavan talks of the nature of the Atma. So that is also unmanifest, but that is different from the unmanifest that is into which that manifests and gets resolved. So the first unmanifest we're talking of is Maya, and the unmanifest beyond that is that of the Atma or Brahman. Avyaktokshara ityuktaha tasmahuhu paramam gatim yam prapya nanivartante tadhama paramam mama. Avyaktaha, the unmanifest, aksharaha iti uktaha, that was said to be akshara, that is, that which is not subject to destruction. Tam aksharam, that aksharam, paramam gatin, as the highest end, Ahuhu, they speak of yam prapya, gaining which nani vartante, people do not return. Tat, that mama is my paramam, highest dhama abode. The unmanifest that was spoken of as the one that is not subject to destruction, that they say is the highest end. That abode of mine, gaining which people do not return, is the highest. Purushah saparah partha bhaktya labhyasvananyaya yasyantasya sani bhutani yena sarvamidam tatam. Purushah saparah, that Purusha is limitless. Partha, O Partha, labhyah tu, but is to be gained, bhaktya ananyaya, by a devotion in which there is no other. Yasya antasthani bhutani, within whom are the beings of creation, yena, by whom, sarvamidam, all this tatam is pervaded. That Purusha is the limitless, O Partha, but can be gained by a devotion in which there is no other. He is the one in whom all the beings have their being, the one by whom all this is pervaded. So that is why Gurudev often says, if you ask for the highest, pray for the highest. So instead of praying to XYZ, if you put your attention on the highest Brahman, that is that unmanifest, which is the abode of the Atma or the Brahman, when you yoke yourself to that, that is the Ananyaya Bhakti, Avyabhicharini Bhakti. Yatra kale tvanavrittihi anavrittim avritim chaiva yoginaha prayata yantitam kalam vakshyami bharatarshava. Tu, however, yatra kale, at which time, by which route, yoginaha, meditators and karmathas, prayataha, who have departed, yanti, go, tam kalam, that time, anavrittim, of no return, avrittim cha, and of return, eva, indeed, vakshyami, I will tell, Bharatarshabha, O foremost of the Bharata family. So, O foremost of the Bharata family, I will tell you what is the time or route of no return, and also the time route of return by which the departed yogis go. Agnir Jyotiraha Shuklaha Shanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Vido Janaha. Yatra, where, in which path, Agnihi, the god of fire or time, Jyotihi, the god of time, Ahaha, the god of the day, Shuklaha, the god of the fortnight of the waxing moon. That means from Padhyami or Pratipad, from the first to uh, Purnima is the Shukla Paksha. Shanmasa Uttarayanam, that is from the middle of Jan till the middle of July. The god of the 6 months of the sun's northward travel, Santi, are present. Tatra Prayataha, those who have departed through that path after death. Brahma Vidaha Janaha, people who meditate on Brahman. Brahma Loka, Brahma Gachanti, to Brahma Loka Gachanti go. Wherein, which path, the god of fire or time, the god of light or time, the god of the day, the god of the fortnight of the waxing moon, the god of the 6 months of the sun's travel towards the north are present. Departing there, through that path, meditators of Brahman go to Brahmaloka. So this was, Nana mentioned this as the Krama Mukti, right? That is, apparently you go to Brahmaloka if all these criteria are satisfied and you are a qualified person. And in Brahma Loka, Brahmaji gives you the Atma Vidya, and that is the Krama Mukti. Whereas there is Videha Mukti and Jivan Mukti. So there are different kinds of Mukti. Yeah. So very nice, all these shlokas. A lot of factual information is there in this. Anybody wants to share?
Jai Gurudev. I was under the impression when there is a pralaya, all our samskaras also will get dissolved, but that is not true.
They will stay there.
Yeah,
The Prakriti you'll hold on to.
that's right.
Mm.
I thought everything will start fresh, like,
That is why it is so important. And yesterday I was just thinking about all of this. You know, the mm, how important it is not to gather more samskaras in this life. After having known this knowledge, we know that every samskara that we acquire will add to our sanchita karma and give us that many more lifetimes to get rid of that, to exhaust that. So one way is to, when you look at it from a bird's eye view, all uh, the what is that? Mm, the eligibility criteria for knowledge. What are those? Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi, Shat Sampatti, Mumukshutvam, those things. And Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Pranayama, Pratyahara, all those are important guidelines for us uh, as to how to live in this world. So keeping that in our kitty and following those, keep continuing your sadhana, doing your daily sadhana, your dhyana is very important, because those, the first half is important to cleanse your body and mind. The second half is important to steady the mind and then pursue knowledge. Then we have some chance of mukti. But if we get caught up in the eligibility criteria itself, if we are not able to practice shama, dhamma, titiksha, shraddha, if we're lacking in those, then our ascent on this path would be that much less. It will be there, not that the sadhana will be there, that you carry that forward. But if we want to be the Uttama Adhikari, we will have to pursue that with dedication, commitment, and conviction. The nice guidelines, so many guidelines we've been given. Initially, I was getting, several months ago, I would think there are so many paths we have. Now, isn't it confusing for how to choose what to do in order to go on the path, to be firm on the path? But now things are getting clearer little by little, that whatever you choose, all of them are just like guidelines, and you will have to be steadfast. Yeah. Anybody else wants to share before we go to chapter 2?
Jai Gurudev, I
Yes,
have
ma'am.
observed for so long. I really want to be steadfast with the this thing, but when it becomes too good and perfect, uh, that time the mind starts to rebel, and very I don't know, such moments when I feel that sadhana is really too complete and everything sadhana satsang seva everything is on the in the correct way it's happening, like prescribed by our all ancient these things. And then the mind rebels, and it so smartly and cunningly it sees to it that it is balanced, or some situation arises in the house and in the surroundings or something, and a party and this and that, and then something, I don't know, this is my mind's invite, or I create that kind of this thing inner in my inner this thing, that is why it reflects exactly outside. But I want to come out of this funny round and round circle. Jai Gurudev, please help me in this.
But here I think there is nothing wrong in going through a party. It is not averse to the path, as long as you are in your center, as long as you are not craving for it or you're not averse to it. Uh, if you can be in the
But
middle path, if you can be in the
but it is,
witness consciousness.
it's the expense on, like building up so beautifully, and then you get exhausted into all five essential pleasures, your friends and your relatives, and big tamjam and all. I don't know, but it somewhere it settles down. It compromises your building up. So means steadily you have built up something, and then such things, they again put you little bit on the back foot, I feel it. And sometimes again to rebuild it, it takes little time, but see how the mind is so cunning, and again it is that in too much inner demand to have this kind of fun and joy. Yeah, I understand the centeredness, but it is at the expense of your own energy, positive energy. When you go through this, no, inspired, though you are witness, you are centered, थोड़ा तो compromise होके little bit you settle on the lower level. What do you all say, and how to really overcome this pattern?
Yeah, I also wanted to say the same. Actually, it happens with me too. I was realizing the same. When you go outwards, but then I thought ki going outwards make you deeper inside. Although we settle at lower ground, you are completely right. To go back, it takes more time, but maybe the depth increases because the outward experience gives us that ki this has no value, and we maybe in next time we are more centered. That's how I took it then.
See,
Yeah, this
opposite
can be
values are
one.
inevitable. No, you can't deny opposite values. So Dr. Renu says, become like a lotus flower, stay in the outer world, but internally detached. Very beautiful. That's what even Gurudev says. I was just listening to the Spandakarika. In that, he says, there are different levels of stupidity around. You are also stupid. You're also, so when you look at the whole world, there are different gradations of, of stupidity, for instance, if you can call it that. But then when you step aside and see um, and just be in that witness consciousness, then you are neither averse to it, neither are you craving for that thing which is positive, which is supposedly intelligent. Because what you described, your sadhana is going well and you're in a high, right? And then suddenly something happens like this, say a party, or you're going out with your friends. There, if you can take the middle path, where you're going through that experience, but you're going through that as being detached, like what Dr. Renu had mentioned, being like a lotus flower or lotus leaf. Then it will not touch you. It will not bring your energy down, because you're beyond that. You're in that middle path. You're not getting carried away by your positive energy, neither are you getting drowned by your negative. because ultimately creation has both opposites. They exist, they coexist. So when you're ascending up, there will be something that comes out which can as though bring it down. But when you detach yourself from that is when I think you'll be able to go beyond it. Otherwise, you're craving for that, being in that positive state. That is also a form of raga, isn't it? But here we're talking of going beyond raga and dvesha.
Good. I will
I, yeah,
experiment with this.
yeah. Although it does not mean you wantonly go in for all that. If it happens, it happens. You're not averse to it.
Yeah, because they will
No,
come, since we are living in this life and people around us are not the same. Maybe not at the same level, or maybe they are higher up, or maybe a bit up and down. Everybody's level is different, with whom we are, in touch with.
Exactly.
The family, the friends, the environment where we are staying. So these like प्रकृति में जो 3 गुण है वो तो आते ही रहेंगे, हमारे बॉडी में भी आते ही रहेंगे. So accordingly we just आई थिंक वही है, जैसे भ्रमरा जी ने कहा ही, वी जस्ट experience it. Maybe it will make us take us to a higher platform. Maybe they are for that only, right? Because the maya is for us only to go inwards.
Yeah. See, only when you go through that will you, uh, like it is said, only when you have disturbance you understand and value peace. So it is through the mind that you have to reach, go beyond the mind. So all this is part of our sadhana tools, and only when you're going through this, you can actually, it's a testing ground. All this you've learned in theory, but that is a practical lab for you. If you didn't
Yeah.
have that, if you didn't have the practical lab, how will you put to use all that you have learned?
Yeah. A teacher gave us a simple example. For example, we love ice cream. So that first scoop is essential for us to know how does it taste. And but if we overeat it, then we bear the consequences. So, but to experience the first scoop is very essential, है ना? अंदर से जो उसके लिए जो भावनाएं हमारी आती हैं कि what is it all about. But when we overdo it, then also we are not in comfort, right? So Maya ka there is a role to experience, make us experience and uplift us. But then when we overdo it, then we know the consequences, and then we learn and we move away from it. That makes an aversion out of it. So I don't know if I'm rightly explaining, but yeah, Brahmara ji ने बहुत अच्छे से explain किया. That's really nice. क्योंकि वो that is a part of माया है ना. आइसक्रीम भी होना जरूरी है. अगर खाया नहीं, ऐसे ही सोच लिया कि हम खाएंगे ही नहीं कभी, that is also not the right way. You have it, but in limited amounts, है ना? Maybe.
Jai Gurudev.
so that
If
applies
you're
to.
sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think if you are on the dharma path, if you're not doing any adharma, enjoyment is not prohibited, right? And if you're aware of if you're aware all the time, then it shouldn't matter, I feel.
I think we have to just observe if our mind or intellect is giving us excuses for doing what we do. Meaning, look, mind can
Yes.
justify many things. It will justify.
That's what is happening with me exactly.
Yeah. So, look, the decision when you make, if you have a choice of avoiding it, yes, avoid it. Because we are not enlightened, right? So, they say that the objects in the world will cause trouble. There's no doubt. Whether you are centered, as long as you are not a jnani, it will. It will have its impact. So the decision you make, yes, there is a party. Is there a choice of not going? Then don't go. If there is no choice, then go. Then no problem. Then be centered, be witness, whatever that you can. But that decision, whether you want to go or not, is something you have to very consciously take. If you have a choice, as far as possible, Look, a sannyasi need not do too much of sadhana because he's away to a large extent from the world. The world objects are not disturbing him. But grahasthas like us, there's a lot of distractions in the world. So we need to be more cautious, more sadhana. All that is required for us, right? So that's where we have to exercise a lot more restraint, lot more. Somebody said, yes, the world is for enjoyment, no doubt. But again, what is your priority? What is it that you want in life? If that's very clear, then yes, we have to take every step towards that goal. That's it. It's not easy. It's not easy, but I feel it's not difficult as well. It's just consciously taking the right calls.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, rightly said.
Shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyatha va kartum shakyam. So,
And
like,
Thank you.
and also we
Thank
should
you
be
so much.
comfortable with the consequences of action and inaction both. उसमें फिर माइंड को फंसना नहीं है, मतलब फिर क्रिब नहीं करना है. If we have not gone maybe, then we should be comfortable with our decision, the inaction one, if we don't go.
तो हमारा प्रायोरिटी हमने डिसाइड कर लिया है ना, हमारा प्रायोरिटी के हिसाब से हमने डिसीजन लिया है, वो
Yeah.
हम, yeah, we stick to it. Yes, there is no regret of missing a party then.
Right. Because sometimes later on वो नहीं होना चाहिए फिर. That should, then mind should be free of all those consequences, action and inaction both, है ना?
Initially,
Hariom. Yeah, please go ahead. Please, Vijay ji.
नहीं, तो इनिशियली ना वो हमें थोड़ा क्या बोलते हैं, जबरदस्ती, राइट वर्ड पता नहीं.
sorry, can I request everyone to talk in English because I think Dr. Mara doesn't understand Hindi.
No, sorry. Okay. No, I'm saying initially you have to make a lot of effort to say no to certain things which you like. Okay, initially. But over a period of time, you will see that this mind is such that it will automatically drop that interest or longing for that. Automatically. So, but initially, yes, there is a self-effort that we have to put in to say no to certain things which mind is very pulling us towards it. But you have to consciously say no. Initially, thoda difficult hai, but after a while, वो drop हो जाता है. फिर वो same चीज, sorry, then we don't feel that same attachment or so same longing for that thing. If we have looked at our lives as we have come on this path, you will see maybe so many of us maybe would have been partying or eating non-veg or whatever. But over a period of time, all that is gone, right? Now there is absolutely maybe no interest in that. That has happened. So, but initially maybe it was a slight struggle to say no to certain things which you were very fond of. But that's the part of the journey, is what I feel. I don't know. These are just my sharing my views.
Yeah, completely
In the first
agree
place,
with.
Yeah, sorry. In the first place, I want to know what is party. Okay. Party is what? I mean, you go somewhere, being with people, just being with and enjoying with them. Is that not just a party or something else you people are meaning? I mean, that's why I'm getting a little confused. What is party? Where you go, meet with people, enjoy that time. And why should there be a big fuss? I mean, if you are aware of what you're doing and if you're aware all the time, next time you yourself will not feel like going. Then there is no question of, avoiding or raga dvesha. There won't be there. I think there is nothing wrong in enjoying if it is on the dharma path. I feel that is what party for me, right? I'm not thinking any other kind of party over here. But if somebody is meaning some other kind of party, then yes, maybe you are right. But right now, I'm feeling that being with other people and enjoying that good time, what is so wrong about it? And if you are aware of it, something is going wrong, and you yourself will know that, and you yourself will avoid it. I think that awareness is needed, and raga dvesha should not be there. These two things I feel. And I'm really not knowing what kind of party New people are talking.
Hari Om. First of all, I would like to really thank Madhuri ji. It is not about just the entertainment party. I mean, we have been attending a workshop by a very senior art of living faculty, and it is a spiritual workshop. So it is not that the party only for entertainment. Even during the spiritual gathering, I mean, it is taking almost weekend 6 to 8 hours every day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So while we are interacting with so much of experienced and spiritually high level people, but still we witness so many things. I mean, as per our own tendencies, I mean, as Madhuri ji very rightly said, that everything was going so well, perfectly, and then suddenly, when you are in the midst of the people and when you are interacting, you are able to realize that, oh my God, I mean, इससे मुझे ये कहा, इससे ऐसे क्यों कहा? Why did he say that? Why did she say that only to me? I mean, these question answer, that is influencing more to us. Then and I think that as Vijay ji and Brahmaraji rightly said, that more sadhana, more satsang, and when we are in the such spiritual satsang also, we have to be very careful that how we, I mean, we have to be like a lotus, as Renuji said. It should not affect, but I think I agree with Madhuri ji that I'm not able to remain that aloof. I carry forward, and it is it affects your inner core, and you get affected. Yes, when the materialistic people, when they say something or when they do something, it doesn't matter. But when there are people who are so much in sadhana, satsang, and still and those things, they affect. Yes, definitely. So yes, thank you so much, and it has brought me that I require more of sadhana, and just to be myself, and not to get affected by whatever is happening around me. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Yeah, Jai Guru Dev, I would like to share my experience that one thing I would like to say, anything that we experience which is against our wishes, which is not in, happening to our own liking, is a learning step towards improving on ourselves on this path. Abhi at present, I was in Chandigarh. I was attending my brother's son's wedding. And at the same time, I had this in mind that for 3 4 days, I have missed my knowledge in the morning, which was really, making me okay, fine, but I was listening to it at later timings. But there were incidents which brought me to the centeredness, because people do talk, their nature is seen, but how you carry yourself, how centered you are. Because I was sitting, I was in my spiritual path. At times, yes, with awareness also, I could not carry myself forward. But yes, the practice, the knowledge, both kept me intact, and I knew where I have to work on myself, being on the spiritual path. Thank you so much.
Jai
So at
Gurudev.
the same
Jai Gurudev.
at the yeah,
Let-
at the same time, I enjoyed also. Plus, I was on the path also, and where I felt the lacking, I know I have to change with awareness, with knowledge. I have to be on this path and go forward. Thank you.
Recently, it happened that my husband's ex-colleagues were having get together, and I was part of it. So to say, it came as, "Arey, how can you are so calm?" So it gave me a chance to share something about art of living, and this is the way I think people can spread art of living. It's on my level, okay? And one more thing, we are in a high positive energy. And as those are the people who are meeting, who we are meeting are not in the same path, maybe. And that our positive energy gets drained. And what I did after coming is
Exactly.
I did one Sahaj. That's it. And I bounced back. Jai Gurudev.
You know how I look at it? It's already 43. Another 2 minutes, we'll wind up this. Um, Recently, I went to India. It was the first time I was attending the um, reunion of my MBBS classmates. They've had several other reunions before, but for various reasons, I could not make it. This time, it was my choice to go and meet my friends. One thing which kind of prompted me to do that was Swamiji had mentioned in the Gita home study that it is only in the field of activity that you can exhaust your samskaras. You can exhaust your vasanas, because that is an opportunity for you to um, to free yourself of raga and dvesha. So I took it up as not an experiment, but as a laboratory for me to go meet up with my friends who I've met after, say, 36 years. And it was actually more an awareness exercise for me. I was watching my interaction, my, how it was, and I was very happy because as an MBBS student, I was quite a withdrawn. I was like more an introvert. I had very few friends, but now it was so easy for me to connect with everybody, including the youngsters and everyone. So at one point, it gave me the awareness of where all the sadhana has taken me to. Second, it gave me an opportunity also to uh, to watch out my raga and dvesha. So I think like what Swam, Bhagwan said, karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalahe turbuhu ma te sangostva karmani. So you're not also attached to inaction. You continue to act as and when required. Like Vijayji said, you prioritize what is important. You decide whether you want to do it, you don't want to do it, or do it differently. But keeping this knowledge in the back of your mind and this awareness, and as long as you have this yoked to this knowledge, then it actually doesn't matter.
Jai Gurudev, the comments which I had made earlier, which came out just because I had not been interacting at all with anybody since last 2.5 years. So maybe I'm really unaware of these things now, and luckily I could party with all the satsangis on the Zoom. So I'm really happy to know that really, I mean, whatever I have been missing, I can hear from you people.
It is not just a party with this our family and friends. It is really a testing ground, even while spiritual satsangs are there. When the people are
That's
there,
right.
real testing ground. I tell you, I mean, this is the first time I have observed my own mind, and it was so beautiful. I mean, going through that all analysis and synthesis, and at the end contemplating that what was right for my sake, my happiness, and my peace of mind. So it's really, it's immaterial whether it is a party with friends going out, or attending satsang where you are spending more time besides satsang. What other talks you are having with them, and how you are guided. It's very beautiful. Now, I mean, as Brahmaraji rightly said, it's so nice after the knowledge we are able to observe our own mind. Rather than pointing the mistakes of others, you are reflecting your own mind and your own perception.
That's true.
Dhanyavad.
And
And I
one
think
more
as
thing
and
is,
how you become aware of these things, I think these things should amuse you, right? The how your mind or others' mind are working. It should be an amusement for us.
It should, you must be in a state of wow, a state of amazement. Vismaya,
yeah,
yoga
here
bhumi.
I want to mention one thing. See, party is a nimitta, but actually, when we observe it little bit on the deeper level, so not only for the five senses, for your mind, intellect, and ego also, what kind of inputs are coming? It's really, really like yes, because it has just happened yesterday. I can very clearly and very beautifully share with you without any hesitation. See, yesterday I had to take three kriyas, and everywhere I had to talk about Rudra Puja and all that Shiva Tattva and all. And when you are addressing to such big group with that conviction, for your sankalpa and all those, we know all the processes. So after doing all that thing, I was so much into that, I don't know which level, and not able to sustain it throughout the day. I really wanted to come back somewhere and settle down. No, nahi ho raha tha. But then, even when we come together, let's observe this carefully. Ki, how superficial, when many times the talks are ki, what kind of dress you are wearing, somebody else is wearing, means what kind of inputs we are giving to our minds, to our egos. Sattvic ego bhi ho sakta hai, but then what kind of rajasic, and sometimes we go up to the tamasic also. Food can also be sometimes kind of tamasic, itna chocolatey or itna cheesy and whatnot. We just keep on stuffing into our mouths. So overall, when you come back home, so much jitteriness at every level, and then I don't know. I think once you are on this pedestal, and when you are getting so like अभी little bit हमें समझना चाहिए कि only the selected 10, 15, 20 people of us, we are sitting with Nana ji at such a like sattvic and so pure and powerful way the things are going on, and then we need to be little bit careful about the what whole day you are doing. जाओ पार्टी को, लेकिन वो थोड़ा सा रिस्ट्रेंट का ये बढ़ाना, little bit we need to increase it, our like what you can say, tighten up our loose ends more and more, मुझे लगता है.
Yeah,
जय गुरुदेव.
I just want to quickly tell you. I mean, I know it's a lot of things you guys were discussing. That's really nice, and yeah, I think in that sense, like this happens to every one of us. Even in your own family, it happens. So when somebody not making you feel good, then either we just move away from them, and it's good to be with somebody who makes you happy, yeah, at least at that point, so that your energy is not drained, or and you coming out of the place really drained or upset, or like having to deal with it. Of course, our mind control has to happen with the senses, because you like some food that is there, then you like to try it, that mind kind of sneak it. Oh, well, just try it, and then once you try it, you want more. So that may happen too sometimes, so that's where we have to draw the line, like, okay, this is where I'm going to, this time if I do it, I won't eat the other food. Okay, I like this one, you eat it, and then not the other part. So I mean, that happens to me as well. Like when I was reading all these things, and sometimes your mind gets very stuffy. I wanted to see something like lighter kind of movie, but not. I have reduced drastically watching TV or news or anything that would make your mind down. But sometimes, that happened, like maybe once last week, and I felt, oh, even guilty about it. Oh, why did I turn it on? But of course, that was something just lighter kind of story, not involving anything bad or that will make you feel sad and things like that. So I'm just saying, like somebody else said, you haven't had a chance to meet somebody else. I haven't gone out, but I may expect to go to a couple of weddings next month because they're a very close friend of ours. So let me see how that goes. Thank you, guys.
I feel if we are going and meeting a group of people when we are in a party or so, and we come back drained, then we also need to watch our own mind. Are we sitting in judgment over people? Are we having aversion towards what they are doing or what they are saying? And then probably the balancing act. If somebody drinks or if somebody is having non-veg, why should we look down upon them? We have grown in a certain way. We are on the spiritual path. But why should we sit in judgment over what other people are doing? If we keep watching our own mind, then we won't come out drained from all the people and situations that we face in a party. It's rather than how we can uplift such people. Even when I've been with people and then you don't drink and all that, and if they get into a debate kind of a thing, then I listen to them very quietly for a very long period of time till I've heard all that they have said. And then I start talking scientifically about what the drink does to them internally. I say, you may be going to the gym, you have got a good shaped body, you have muscles and all that. Have you thought about your internals and what the alcohol does to your internals? And then we start from there. And then I say, look at the kind of stress and tension that you're having when you're talking. And then I lead them on, like what are the kinds of foods. I have had a person who was my ex boss who called me to the airport and he started drinking and he started belittling me because I was not drinking. And then I started talking about his internals, and then I told him at the stress levels that he was having because of some contracts which he was about to get or not get, whatever. And then it was like I brought him into the topic of positive foods, like, and when I started talking about dates, salads, raw salads, and all that, giving positive energy, he literally stopped what he was eating and started ordering cucumber and carrots along with his alcohol. Just imagine. He was eating all my words, like he was soaking in all the words. And I was unaffected by what he was doing or what he had said to me earlier. I knew that I would win him because scientifically I was strong with what I had to say about his internals. So getting disturbed, why should one get disturbed by what other people are doing or what they are saying, even in a party? Gurudev has said very beautifully, like how you do the balancing act when you ride a cycle. There has to be a balancing act between spirituality and the world outside, your family life or whatever. And at certain times in families, you cannot help being in a situation where you have to go to a party, social contact. We are all social animals. We have to be there. But how we can uplift that person at that point of time rather than our getting drained of our own energy is very important. And I tell you, I have seen teachers in Australia also. They're gone to become teachers, but they look down upon their husbands who are still drinking and eating non-veg. Come on, when you came from Punjab to Australia or New Zealand, you were also doing the same thing, but you came on the path of spiritually and you had a wonderful progress there. You gave it all up. You even became a teacher. But don't look down upon your husband as he's down in the drain, all those muck out there lying there. And then that husband thinks that this fellow, this guru, is the person who has come between us and our married life, which was going so hunky dory. He's the one that has created the split. And on top of it, you want him to come on the spiritual path. How will he when you're looking down upon him? I don't think we need to sit in judgment over what people do. We have made wonderful progress on the spiritual path. Be with it. We don't need to get drained. If we can uplift, if they are, we may do it. by spreading, there is no harm in spreading knowledge in such groups also. I was talking to a person who's literally sitting and drinking alcohol in front of me. He came out of an evening flight and he started drinking hard liquor in front of me. And then I made him eat carrots and cucumber.
Very nice sharing.
Thank you, Gurudev. Exactly, I had the same experience. I mean, after COVID, after I think 2.5 years or so, we were called for some party, and there was just a group of few people. And in the beginning, they asked us if they drink and have non-veg, would we have problem? And we said no, we don't have a problem as long as you don't force on us. And the party started, film music, everything was there, and then everyone started singing. I said, I don't know any of the film songs. My husband sings, but I don't know. But I know only the bhajans. And at the end of everyone sang, they said, okay, you also sing. Then I sang one bhajan. And can you believe, after that, everybody started singing bhajans only. We ended up our party singing bhajans. I couldn't believe that.
Wow. Even the end of the party, if it ends up with the bhajans and all,
Yes.
it keeps your this thing energy uplifted. But otherwise, overall, it is a drain kind of zabardast drain on five senses, mind, everywhere. It is a you settle down little bit on the lower this thing, because the food you are eating there is so much rajasic with tamasic touch. It takes longer to digest also, so next morning you are not as fresh, and the night also you are not able to sleep very peacefully, because that dham dhama dham dham, that music is there in the mind, and everywhere your whole that energy is disturbed. So much sattvic energy, no, it gets disturbed. Definitely need to be little bit I think as you progress more and more on this path, till you become so sthita prajna, till that time you need to be little bit more careful about such going out, how many times and how you go, and everything you need to be little bit cautious.
See, I know we are extending our Manana time, but it's an important topic that we're discussing. What I can kind of sum up this is, like when a sapling is growing, in order for it not to be grazed by cows and goats, they put a fencing around it, a barricade around the sapling, growing sapling. So till such time it grows up into a tree, that barricade is required. And for that, you require the Shama and Dama and all that. But after a while, after it's grown into a tree, it really doesn't matter. The barricade doesn't make any sense. This tree starts giving shade to so many things, and it starts bearing fruit that is eaten by everybody. So we don't need to look down upon anyone who's partying, like what Percy ji very rightly said. Even Bhagwan says, I don't remember which chapter, but in one of the chapters that we finished, he says, you continue to do your practice, you continue to be a role model, but you do not look upon those people who are following, other paths, or who are following deities, or even the karmatas, those that are following the karma kanda. You don't look upon them. They will come to it in their own time. So it is important for us to continue steadfast in our own chosen path with that discrimination. But like you said, the initial phases, you require that little barricade. But after a while, it really makes no difference. Look at Gurudev. How many people does he meet? How many people who come with negative tendencies, their woes and everything, but he remains steadfast, no? So I think after a while, you start affecting your environment rather than you getting affected by your environment. And I think that is what will
One
happen.
thing I like to share here is that one person who was means every day he used to drink, and even when he landed at the course, he was drunk. Those days it was a 6-day course, and just because the teacher had it in his heart to forgive him and let him go through the course, though we say no alcohol, no tobacco, and all that. And today he is such a wonderful teacher. He has risen himself. He has given up drinks. He has given up tobacco. He's taking DSN. He's taking Utkarsh Yoga, Medha Yoga. God knows how many courses. And every month he must be taking at least 4 or 5 courses and so many events. And he's doing Rudra Pujas now. And just because the teacher had it in him not to look down upon him, even though he came drunk, he did not throw him out of the class. But that, how we can go about uplifting such people is very important. Look at that teacher today, the kind of human service he's doing to Art of Living. How he has grown, and he's one of the best teachers we have probably in the all of India. And what was he? He came on the first day drunk. So, I mean, rather than us getting disturbed by situations at this level of growth that we are in, we need not get disturbed. How can we uplift people? Do we have it in our heart to accept people the way they are, whatever their qualities? Why should we get red if somebody is drinking around us? You sit with your lime juice.
And I feel pride when they need some drink to, loosen up or be free or so. We don't need that kind of a thing. We don't feel that inhibition or anything after doing Kriya and being on this sadhana. And I take pride in that. And I don't get affected by what people are doing around me. The way they dance, we take part in that dance without getting a drink or so. And I really feel proud about it. But then again, what Brahmaraji and Vijayji was saying, it's when you should know at what stage you are. If you're going to get sucked, then better avoid it. But if you Persiji, as you must be feeling so strong, you are such a strong personality, you might not be getting affected. So everyone has to decide at what level they are. And like जैसे शंकर जी ने विष पिया था और भांग पीते हैं, if one starts doing it, they will not be able to digest. Even Sai Baba has said, right? He was once eating onion. So the people were asking him, how can a sant or he's eating onion, such food is prohibited. And he says a person who can digest should eat it, otherwise no.
Somebody mentioned about spiritual meetings, and let me tell you, at my level, I have been involved in resolving maybe so-called disputes amongst teachers also, amongst volunteers also. And I know, I accept it that even on the spiritual path, but I always explain to people that all teachers are at different levels of growth. Don't put them on the same pedestal as where we see the master. He is at a different level altogether. One thing is on the spiritual knowledge, what we see and hear is about not comparing. Comparing and cribbing is asuri gun, as they say, and praising is a divine quality that you have. To praise people, they are all at different levels of growth. Even on the path of spirituality, I know there is a lot of complaining and cribbing that goes. This teacher did that during some mega event and all that. All those kind of things happen. That is life. That is samsara. Dugo mat samsara mein. Don't get lost in this ocean.
Dhanyavad, Persiji. Yes, yesterday, first time I witnessed, I never imagined, and I witnessed, and it was so beautiful for me to observe. It's not that, spiritually, those who are doing sadhana, they cannot. I could see, and I've stopped being judgmental about anybody.
Even Gurudev has mentioned that in the ashram there is so much of negativity. There is so much of politics and negativity in the ashram. So we all think that's our perception that ashram is a place where everyone is very spiritually high. But even in a place like that, you can have, and ultimately, like Swami Vivekananda mentioned, we have no right to judge anybody, because ultimately we are all a play and display of our three gunas. At that point, whatever guna is most is manifest most, that is what we will. Our thoughts can be sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, depending on what we've had the previous day. So many. It's a very complex interplay. So while such is the case, when you yourself are not in control of yourself, how can you, take judge others for what they are saying or doing? So for me, I think the world there is like a huge laboratory where it's a testing ground for you. It's a sadhana tool. If you take it as a sadhana tool, you will not be averse to it. It will become a play. It will become a challenge. It will become a celebration. Yeah. I think we'll wind up today. We've gone way beyond our time today. 7, 8. But we had useful discussion, and I think everybody contributed. That is very good. Yeah. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Guru Dev.
Dhanyavad,
Thank
Brahmaraj
you.
ji. Jai
Thank you,
Gurudev.
everyone.